You're watching TVC Breakfast. The Nigeria Center for Disease Control says 59 suspected and 15 confirmed cases of monkeypox have been recorded in the country. The Dallas County Health and Human Services in Texas, United States, had in July 16 reported a case of monkeypox in a resident who recently returned from Nigeria. Speaking on the development, Director General of the NCDC, Chikwe Hekwazu, said an outbreak will be declared when there is a large cluster of monkeypox cases. And he said, and I quote, the federal government was notified of the situation in Texas through the international health regulations, who reported a case of monkeypox disease diagnosed in a patient who had recently visited Nigeria. Mr. Ihekwazu advised Nigerians that, quote, if they feel ill or have a sudden rash, they should please visit a hospital for diagnosis and management, end of quote. Monkeypox is caused by a virus closely related to that which causes smallpox and cowpox, although not as deadly as smallpox. It is spread via large respiratory droplets from someone showing symptoms of the disease and can also be transmitted by direct contact with bodily fluids or lesion material. People who are asymptomatic cannot spread the virus. That is the assumption. But we have an expert in the house to make us understand how all of these are, so we can prevent, and for those who have, so we can give them an idea and tips on how to manage. I have with me public health specialist Tui Mebawondu in the studio. It's nice to have you join me this morning.
Good morning,
Good to see you.
Yeah, nice to see you too.
Great. Now, there's a great concern with the rising cases of some of the confirmed cases of monkeypox in the country. What is this monkeypox all about? We're used to smallpox, but they're not talking about monkeypox. Talk to us about this.
2017, we witnessed the first case of monkeypox in Nigeria after a break of about 39 years. Okay, that means that for 39 years, we've not seen a single case of monkeypox. But from 2017 up to now, we've seen a smoldering kind of endemic monkeypox. And then if you look at the figures, as much as 466, close to 500 cases have been, diagnosed or throughout the time. In 2020, we had just 8 cases for the whole of the country. But already this year, within the first 6 months, we're having as much as 30 cases, which is actually showing that the thing is ticking up. Now, I had warned 3 years ago that we're going to see more of epidemics, and then we need to actually step up our surveillance in looking at those things that might come up in public space. Now, monkeypox, like you rightly said, a virus caused, similar to smallpox and cowpox. The key thing is that you get rashes. You pick it from animals, like we always said here severally. This germ jumps from either a domesticated animal or a wild animal to a human, and then use human being to spread itself around. So when the rashes comes, of course, the prodromal stage, body ache, fever, and all these constitutional symptoms. Then later, the key factor, the key diagnostic issue is the rash. The rash starts from the face and spread around the body like the smallpox, right? When the rash is bigger than that of smallpox, it forms, big, what they call papules, and then it gets raised up. Pus enter the thing, and then the thing bursts and cause scarring of the skin.
And causes a sore, kind of.
Yeah, it's kind of sore, yes, sore and scarring of the skin. Of course, the fatality rate is very low. Maybe 1 in 10 of them will get. But again, like I warned 3-4 years ago, that the major issue is this: supposing this virus mutates, what do we need to do? So it's important that for us, a virus that's not having a clear-cut treatment, that's not having vaccine to deal with it, that can spread from human to human, we should be careful and take requisite action to prevent the jump and the spread of the virus.
As the name implies, monkeypox, does it have any relation with monkeys directly?
Yes, because the cluster was first seen among monkeys, in the past, but not only monkeys that can transmit it. We saw other wild animals can transmit it, rodents, squirrels, some mice,
By a bite or by droplets?
Either through
by eating
contact with their fluid, with their fluid. Of course, you know that in some environments, those things are delicacies they're eating. And then, of course, contact with the fluid, with the body fluid of those animals can lead to the transmission of the virus from those animals to human. What we call a zoonotic spark, a jump, you know. So the key intervention should be that how do we pick this virus before it starts, and how do we stop it from spreading?
But as it is right now, is there any cure for the monkeypox?
There's no cure. No, like I said, the fertility rate is very low, 1 in 10. There's no cure. If people that are sick with monkeypox, they have to be treated symptomatically. You know, infection you treat, fever you treat, loss of body fluid you treat. That's what you do. No vaccine. Why? It has been said that the smallpox vaccine can actually work against it. But we've eradicated smallpox since 1980, so that's a long time ago. Who is having the smallpox vaccine now? And the challenge is that here we are, you know, in this country, epidemics keep breaking. We're still dealing with COVID, even a Delta variant. We're talking about Lambda variant of the COVID now. Today, we know that what's called cholera killed as many as 60 people, both in Jigawa and Yobe State. So we just have all these public health emergencies staring us in the face. What has happened is that it shows clearly that from 39 years before 2017, we've not been doing enough on our public health. We've not, honestly, because if we have a break of a virus for 39 years, and suddenly we now saw it coming up in 2017 and keep increasing in number, it shows that we've not been doing a lot on our public health. And that is a place we need to focus on, because we don't have the luxury, we don't have the necessary interventions that can deal with outbreak of any virus.
If we have to talk about really taking that action, what are we supposed to have done in practical terms, either from the side of government or from the side of individuals?
The starting point, because let's be mindful, epidemic will increase. It's not going to decrease. You know, the factors are just clearly staring us in the faces, because one, we see a lot of humans getting interaction with these wild animals. We're felling trees, we're building residents, we're doing more farming. Nigeria is priority farming as their own.
So we're encroaching into their habitat.
Yeah, so again, we're not allowing those space for them. If we are doing that, what it means is that we have to increase our surveillance. We must be able to detect the virus before it starts and stop it from spreading. So what do? You have to, your agri-practice, you know, your veterinarians, you know, the public health people, the local people, you have to get them involved, you know, in actually spotting this virus before, you know, it starts spreading. You know, some of those animals have to be taken and samples checked. That means that you are talking about the quality of epidemiological laboratory in Nigeria. You need to train people that can do that. I'm talking about the level of government. I need to train people that can really do those epidemiological survey, that can pick and look around the community, have a system of reporting abnormal rash, for instance, abnormal illness, vomiting, unnecessary vomiting, and a cluster of those things to a central government. But again, look, it's a broken health system who reports nothing. Now, apart from that, at individual level, at local level, that is public health education. That is the only thing you can deploy right now, because in the first instance, there are not enough health workers to go around the whole local area. Some of the parts of Nigeria is experiencing banditry and insurgency that makes it difficult for health people to really stay around and even worsen the spread of such epidemic. So government trying to spot before the thing, you know, starts, and government also trying to prevent the spread by educating the people, by stepping up their laboratories, by increasing epidemiological studies and survey of those things. And then we have to also keep it in public consciousness. The need to take up the public space as far as proper information is concerned cannot be overemphasized. So some of this mix of things that can help us to limit this.
How bad is it for us right now as a country when we have some of these diseases coming back? Cholera, you mentioned cholera earlier on, is coming back. We're receiving from the reports we're getting, it's surfacing in some of the states right now. We're having monkeypox back. Lassa fever is still there. River blindness and some of these tropical diseases that one would have thought, okay, we've forgotten and they're gone. Gradually, they're still there. And then it forms a kind of a complex. But as a country, how bad is it for us if we have to take a step to handle all of these things at the same time? Security is something else we won't even talk about right now, and so on, and the economy.
We tell you what, if you look, even for a lot of Nigerians that are so spiritual, it took a health catastrophe for even the so-called Pharaoh to release Israelites. Health is so central to so many things. Without health, you can't run your economy. Without health, you can't have population that you're proud of. Without health, you can't have foreign direct investment. Who do you think will come and say, okay, I'm going to invest in a country riddled by various endemic diseases, coronavirus, monkeypox, polio, good enough, we're not having polio again, Lassa fever here. So, it's bad both for us as a country, economically, security-wise, and even for the prosperity of the country. We want to be able to tie these things together, but we're putting things in silos. What we're seeing in this Nigeria is that we're seeing, we're not seeing power of love, we're seeing love of power, which is not being deployed appropriately to address challenges, that has confronting us headlong. So now, here we are. Before you know it, a country can feel that in Nigeria, before you can enter our territory, go and do a test to confirm that you're not having monkeypox. What are you going to blame them? So we can't then be the source of spread of some rare diseases or some diseases that we think we should have consigned to the dustbin of history. So we need, honestly, to refocus on our health system. We need to. It is for our good. It is for the good of the nation. It's good for the security. It's good for the economy, and even the world will embrace us that these guys are on the top of their health challenges.
All right. We thank you so much, Dr. Tuime Bawandu, for your insight into all of this. And I hope that all of us as a people and as a country will take steps towards preventing this from going forward. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mike.
Thank you. Right. Let's get into our next discussion. Now, there are indications that Sunday Igboho, also known as, or Sunday Adeyemo rather, also known as Sunday Igboho, has been brought before a court in Cotonou, the capital of Republic of Benin. He has been returned to the detention cell until Friday, when hearing will continue. Details of the case is still very sketchy, but we know that Nigeria is yet to make a formal request for the extradition of Mr. Igboho. TVC News' Demola Lawrence in this report refreshes our minds on what brought the matter to this point.
Before the attack on Igboho, an agrarian community in Oyo State, where a returning medical doctor turned farmer Fatai Aborede was killed by suspected herdsmen on the 20th of December 2020. Not many knew Sunday Igboho, but with his fierce reaction after the incident, demanding clearer line of action by government to end what he considered an invasion of his native land, he gradually became a household name. And then the agitations became stronger as few other attacks took place. The number of people who were killed still remain undisclosed. Sunday Igboho continued to task authorities to approach the issue of banditry with a little more seriousness. As days goes by, the call for justice snowballed into a secession campaign with government frown at, as it is typically said that the nation's unity is non-negotiable. On January 26th, his house at Soka area of Ibadan was searched in suspected arson by yet to be identified persons. Thankfully, no life was lost. On the 26th February, it was alleged that security operatives wanted to arrest him on the Lagos-Ibadan Expressway, an incident all the security operatives denied. On the 1st of July, in what is called a covered operation by the DSS, Sunday Igboho's house at Soka in Ibadan was invaded. 2 persons were killed and 13 others arrested. After the invasion, DSS operatives say they recovered assorted arms, live ammunition and charms from his residence and subsequently declared him wanted.
Because of the exchange, 2 of Igboho's armed men were gunned down, while the rest were subdued and arrested. Only 1 operative, who was shot by the assailants on his right hand, sustained injury.
From Eden, Sunday Igboho denied having such weapons in his residence, but alluded to the fact that they used metaphysical powers for his operation. Since his statement from Eden, not much was heard from him, but his followers continued with the agitation with planned rally in Lagos, which was botched. Fast-tracked to 19th of July, it was reported that he was arrested in neighboring country, Republic of Benin, though there has not been any official comment either by DSS or the police to confirm this. There have been conflicting reports since then concerning the whereabouts of Sunday Igboho. A section of the social media reported he has been freed, while another countered by saying he will be arraigned for immigration offences in the Republic of Benin. There are yet unverified reports that Nigerian authorities are pushing for extradition to the country. Coming days will be vital in confirming how Sunday Igboho was arrested if it turns out to be true. It is also important to observe how Nigeria handles the matter in the face of growing international attention on the country. Ademola Lawrence, TVC News, Lagos.
All right. That is the background to what we'll be talking about in the next couple of minutes. And joining me now to talk more and have insight into this is UK solicitor and politician Olufemi Aino. It's nice to have you join me.
Yes, thank you.
Good morning.
Yes, thank you.
Now, I know you've been following this development, but let's starting from the overview. This case is not as straightforward and as easy as the Nnamdi Kanu's case. But it has to do with, somebody who has been wanted one way or the other. But share with us how complex is Sunday Igboho's case.
Well, it's a bit complex, and this is even making it worse. I must say this. Number one, if you want to be an agitator, one will expect you to have planned your escape. And also, what I can't understand, yesterday he appeared in court in Cotonou, according to the press report, and the decision will be taken how to deal with him today. And it is likely it's going to be dealt with robustly for trying to obtain the passport of that country, one way or the other. That's why he was arranged in court.
When he is not a citizen.
And you are not a citizen. And it's very disturbing, because passport is evidence of nationality. Birth certificate is just a gateway to nationality, because you can be born in a country doesn't mean you're a national. But let's leave that. You are somebody who is facing some sort of invited comma, persecution in Nigeria, if that's the argument. Though to the Nigerian government, he is an enemy of the state and is a criminal. That's why they are looking for him, and that's why they declare him wanted. But if you feel there's a political element to this, you see, under the migration concept of extreme necessity, you can arrive at a border of a country and request entry into that country, and they will allow you in. He should have done that. That's because he's everywhere. Everybody knows about him. There are a lot of evidence that, look, he has issues with the federal government of Nigeria. That's one point. The other point is this. If he has a Beninese passport, why in Nigeria? And he used that passport to enter the Republic of Benin, they cannot charge him to court under international law, because the United Nations Convention on Refugee Status prevents you under Article 33 from punishing people for using false identity, especially where they are in fear of their life. which is what is happening here. So they won't. But what he did is that after he entered that country, he now tried to obtain the passport of that country. That's why he's in court. And there's a possibility, if I'm prosecuting him, I will be asking the judge that he should be deported. Because as at that time, you become an undesirable migrant for trying to obtain the passport of our country when you are not a citizen. But there's another clause to this. Assuming they said he was on his way to Germany.
To Germany.
That's fine. Maybe he was going there to seek asylum. But the issue is this. Even if he gets to Germany, he cannot get asylum in any event because...
Why is that?
I will tell you that. The reason, because under the Dublin Convention, if you are going to the UK to seek asylum, Mike, and you get to France, from France you move to Belgium, from Belgium you now enter the United Kingdom. The Dublin Convention prevents you from the United Kingdom from granting you asylum, because under that convention you must apply for asylum in the first safe country in which you arrive. And the first safe country is the Republic of Benin. So you cannot leave Benin and say you are going to Germany. That is one. The other point is that the issue with this Sunday issue is that even if you apply for political asylum in Republic of Benin, it still has a lot of hurdles to cross. Number one, if under the Refugee Convention, which is called the 1950 Convention, there is what they call the concept of internal flight of alternative. Now, you are in the West, you have problem with the government, this and that. You still need to convince the authority that you cannot escape to the East to go and hide yourself. Also, you still need to convince the authority that the police in that country, they cannot protect you. It may well be DSS is everywhere, this and that. But the point is this, the argument, the alternative argument, with all this video, with all the metaphysical power and what have you, there is an argument that, look, you are not, we are not persecuting you. You are a criminal. And we want you to appear before the court. That's why we are looking for you.
In the eyes of the law,
yes.
I'm glad you mentioned the issue of metaphysics here. In the eyes of the law, certainly the religions are recognized, Christianity and Islam. The African traditional religion, which one would claim that the issue of metaphysics fall under directly, in the eyes of does the law frown against anybody, having to fortify himself or having to, believe or use the paraphernalia of anything of the African traditional religion in that context?
I'm not aware of that.
Okay.
The only thing I'm aware is that if you are doing that and using it to disturb the public peace, then there might be an issue.
Why I'm bringing that up is that because when the DSS raided this house and they displayed the phones and displayed the guns and they displayed all the things they displayed, they also displayed some of the things thought to be, all those things of metaphysics. And some people argued that, well, if he's a traditional African religion person and those are his own things of worship, why should they be displayed alongside? Because if a Christian if somebody who is arrested as a criminal and he has a Bible in his house, you don't display the Bible or the Quran as the case may be.
I take your point, but I invite you to take my point. My point is that whatever exhibit you recover, you can display it, whether it is admissible or not. That is an argument for the future. And this is a guy who has been saying, look, I'm going to fortify myself with Africa insurance. I don't need this and don't need that. And at the same time, he's been saying nobody can prevent him from using arm or what have you, and asking some people to leave this part of the country and what have you. You see, when you look at everything in the round, I'm of the view it probably has a case to answer. Let's forget about whether there's a politics and what have you. But the proper procedure is this. Number one, Nigeria has not formally made a request for its extradition. But as it is now, it may well be that's what is going to follow, depending on what will be the outcome of this case. But if Sunday Igboho apply for political asylum in Republic of Benin as we speak, that will be a stopgap to his extradition to Nigeria, because that needs to be considered before you extradite him. And the fundamental point is this: when you are dealing with extradition, you are not considering the guilt or innocence of the person, What you are considering is that did this person have a case to answer in his country? Is there a legal system in that country? But having said that, under international law, some country, you don't extradite people to a country where they are going to face the death sentence. If Sunday Igboho is convicted of treason or sedition or whatever, there is a possibility the punishment is death anyway. Whether that is carried out or not, that's a matter for another day. And these offenses, they are not offenses against me and you. They are offenses against the state. And the state has the right to say, look, you are encouraging insurrection in the country. And this is treasonable. Because of that, we want you to appear at the court to justify your action. And if you look at all this agitation, the fundamental question which we fail to ask, are they even recognized? You are asking for self-determination. You can't, under international law, there is nothing like self-determination. Self-determination only comes in where a country is under the colonial power. And as of 1960, we have independence. So that goes out of the way. Secession, which they are asking for. Some people tried that between 1969 and 70. What happened in the end? No victor, no vanquish. Now, the secession is like a liquidation of a sovereign state. Because, number one, you have a sovereign state which is an indivisible entity called Nigeria. And then you said, okay, you want to liquidate it. Let this Hausa be on their own. Let this. You see, under international law, it is not that it is not possible, but it is not legally recognized. And Nigeria is not Ethiopia and Eritrea. Nigeria is not part of Yugoslavia, where we are talking about Kosovo. So all these arguments of agitation, we have a constitution. If you are not happy with the president, wait for the next election and let him go. If there are any issue, and my own major concern is this, which I think some people should be concerned about. Even if the Yorubas, we are going through a lot in Nigeria, that is not peculiar to us. The Igbos are going through the same, or that the thieves and the few. And the Yorubas have somebody who is called Are Onokakanfo, who is more like a generalissimo. If there is any issue, he is the one who will lead the agitation, and then we will follow. There is somebody, I saw some woman a few days ago described as Yalode of Yoruba land. These are the people who should be at the forefront. And what this guy is doing, it is the only disturbing aspect. If you want to make yourself an enemy of the state, you need to plan it very well. Plan your escape. At the same time, plan an identity you are going to use. But it is the same. And once Interpol put you on a red notice, wherever you go, they are going to arrest you, and that is the problem.
Now, what happens to his? His lawyers had filed the case at the International Criminal Court. What happens to all of that? You
see, they are just going on a figment of their own imagination, because the International Criminal Court, first of all, it's not there. That court is not set up in order to micromanage individual problems with their sovereignty within their own country. Okay. And under international law, sovereign states have jurisdiction over the criminal activities of their national. That is the first starting point. Under the complementary test in the international law, the International Criminal Court will only intervene if and only if the sovereign state is not ready to bring criminals to justice. Number one, if there is war crime, there is genocide, and they are not tried. And this International Criminal Court, which they are going, at the end of the day, what happened? They tried the president of Kenya. He was found not guilty. They tried Lawrence Gbagbo of Ivory Coast. He's back in Ivory Coast. And of recent, what they even did is to try the government of Philippines on the basis that they are killing drug peddlers and drug dealers. And let me even tell you, the International Criminal Court will only have jurisdiction on a country who are members, the 123 members of that court. Exactly. And now what the Philippines did is to say, look, we are not going to be part of this International Criminal Court. You know, United States of America doesn't recognize that court. And this court, there has been persistent to report that that court is not even efficient enough because of mismanagement and what have you. But that's an argument for another day. So if they take this Sunday Igboho case to the International Criminal Court, they don't have jurisdiction. Even as of a few weeks ago, this same court just ruled that Palestine is not a state under international law, and they said, look, whatever the Israelites might have done, we don't have jurisdiction, and that was true. And they need to understand the fact that there is a procedure in place if you want to go before International Criminal Court, and that will start with preliminary investigation, then it moves to formal investigation, then the matter goes before a grand chamber, who will now decide whether they have jurisdiction. And also, look, let me just tell you the nut and bolt of what I'm saying. One day, we are going to wake up and see Sunday Igboho in Nigeria. Charles Taylor was here some years back. What happened? He got to a stage, we have to push him out, that you have to go. And when nations are making that decision, what they will consider, don't forget the economy of Republic of Benin depends on Nigeria. Vice versa. That, look, this is one individual. Are we going to sever our relationship because we want to provide a safe haven for this guy? It's not going to happen. And because the economic interests of the country supersede the personal interests of Sunday Igboho, and in the end, we will wake up one day and they will tell us. And don't forget, this Attorney General is somebody who can spring surprises at any time. And that's what I foresee is going to happen in the long run.
This is great information you're giving to us here. Thank you. So I wish there were time for us, because there's so many other areas I would like us to. But certainly, as things unfold, we'll get better insight into all this. Thank you so much, Olufemi Aina, for coming on the program.
I appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
For all the time.
Right. Thank you. You're watching TVC Breakfast. Up next will be paper review with all the newspapers and headlines. Stay with us on the program. You're watching TVC Breakfast. It's time to look at the headlines across Nigerian newspapers this morning. I have with me to make sense of the headlines this morning, CEO, CKN News, Chris Kehinde-Nwandu. Chris, good morning.
Good morning.
Good to see you.
Thank God it's Friday.
Great. Thank God it's Friday. It's really amazing. I'm telling you. Thank you.
Yeah.
And we also have joining us via Zoom, Chartered Accountant and Public Affairs Analyst, Sheson Kwade. Sheson, good morning.
Good morning, Mike, and thank God it's Friday. Baraka de Salah too in a row.
Exactly. We're still in the festive period. I understand some rams are still, hanging around here and there.
The only challenge is that my ram ran away, so I can't send anyone.
We need to search for that ram. All right, thank you very much. Let's begin with the Leadership newspaper. Leadership says, declare bandits, killer herdsmen terrorists. Northern groups tell PMB. That's President Muhammadu Buhari. Declare bandits, killer herdsmen terrorists. Northern groups tell PMB. We have no relationship with killer herdsmen. Mieti Allah is saying this. Gunmen kill 4 policemen, Monarch 13 others in Benue, Enugu, Nasarawa states. Kidnappers of maritime workers demand 90 million naira ransom. All troubling and disturbing headlines there. All right, that's the Leadership newspaper. Daily Times is next, and is focusing on insecurity. Tough time ahead for bandits, terrorists, as 6 A-29 Super Tucano aircraft arrive, Nigeria. Tough time ahead for bandits, terrorists, as 6 A-29 Super Tucano aircraft arrive, Nigeria. Okay. 6 have arrived. We're still expecting 6 more, which will come maybe the tail end of the year or early next year from the reports that we're getting. Okay, from there, let's go to Daily Trust. Cholera kills 325, afflicts 14,300 in 6 months. Cholera kills 325, afflicts 14,000 in 6 months. Death toll rises as outbreak spreads to more states, and Action Aid calls for state of emergency in Bauchi. And how we're responding to outbreak, the NCDC is saying this. It's really a trying time, I must say. All right, from there, let's go to the Punch newspaper. Punch newspaper says COVID-19 testing stops in 13 states. Delta variant hitting on vaccinated Nigerians. Testing fell by 29% in 3 months. Federal government cries out as dangerous strain spreads fast. And Nigeria receives 3.9 million Oxford AstraZeneca doses next week. States list testing obstacles and put Nigerians on red alert. Delta strain can spread in communities before detection. Tomori is saying this. All right. If we have time, we'll certainly be talking about this this dimension of things. All right. Let's go there to the Nigeria Tribune. It says Igboho remanded in Cotonou prison faces immigration offense trial today. Wife released on bail. Federal government yet to file extradition charge. Why federal government's extradition request is invalid, can't be granted. Falana is issuing insight into this. Okay, that is one thing we may also have to look at as we get along. Vanguard newspaper says extradition battle, Sunday Igboho back in cell as Beninoa court adjourns. Supporters assemble at Beninoa court. Igboho's wife released. Why federal government can't arm twist Benin Republic to extradite Igboho. Akinteriwa is saying this, the former DG of NIA. Yoruba leaders in talks with Benin Republic. YC is saying this. Why Igboho can't be extradited without due process. Falana and others are giving insight into all this. All right, from there, let's go to the Guardian newspaper. Anxiety as Cotonou court adjourns till today, returns Igboho to cell. Outcome will favor us, says Igboho's aide. Federal government presenting 3-point complaints against Igboho. And Igboho wife looked pale in court. Eyewitness is saying this. Okay. From there, let's go to Daily Sun. Security stalls Igboho's court appearance in Cotonou. Extradition hearing holds today as agents grill pro-Yoruba nation agitator wife. All right. Buhari's failure cause of his agitation. Fanifere is saying this. All right. That's from there. Let's go to the Nation newspaper. The Nation is still focusing on the Igboho issue. Igboho appears in court for immigration-related offenses. Agitator expected back in Cotonou court. Wife's German passport has been released. Okay, that's the Nation newspaper. Blueprint says Okechukwu to Senator Hanga, Buhari has no 2023 deal with Tinubu backs APC's consensus. That's the Blueprint newspaper. First News, on the other hand, says MPA looting. Mechi can't be a sacred cow. PDP protests. That's what the First News is saying. First News. The First News says is focusing on MPA looting. It says Mechi can't be a sacred cow. PDP protesting. Protest there. That's the First News. From there, let's go to News Direct. News Direct is it's not the last yet, but News Direct says Buhari terminates Bala Usman's appointment as MPA boss. PDP calls for Bala Amechi probe. Okay, all that on the front page of the News Direct. National Economy is next. National Economy says no end in sight for subsidies removal. A report is saying this as instability, inflation, unemployment permeate Nigeria's economic landscape. Really troubling, I must say. National Economy. Business Day is the last one we're looking at now, and it says Nigeria's inflation threatens already low savings rate. Nigeria's inflation threatens already low savings rate. That's the Business Day. All right, gentlemen, let's start from Sunday Igboho before we get into the other stories I'd like us to look at, the COVID-19 Delta variant and the issues of testing, as the case may be. Now, I just held a discussion with a UK solicitor who was giving us insight into the Sunday Igboho issues and implications here and there. Now, there was something he said that at the end of the day, that we might see Sunday Igboho back in the country. But his lawyers are saying that they want to do everything possible that he's not extradited to Nigeria. What do you make of this, CKN?
Yes, first and foremost, we need to establish that Sunday Igboho is being tried in Benin Republic, not because of his agitation in Nigeria, but because it was alleged that he acquired this passport of Benin Republic
when he's
not a citizen of Benin Republic. So that is going to be the issue. So it is now within the jurisdiction of the Benin Republic government to a court to establish whether the acquisition of that passport was legal, illegal, necessary, unnecessary, and all those. It might not just be only him, because at the long run, there must be some people that must have aided him in getting the passport. So you might be seeing them also coming to trial. At the end of it all, it now depends on how the court is going to rule. If they think that they'll find him guilty, then Sunday Igboho might have to spend some days, months or weeks in Benue prison. If that is the case, then the issue of extradition or no extradition might not just come into play. But if Nigeria has an extradition treaty with Benin Republic, as it has with several countries of the world, don't forget that Nigeria has extradition treaty with some countries. That is one. Secondly, also, Nigeria also have this prisoner swap agreement with certain countries. I don't know whether Benin is part of it, because I know that I think UK and some countries, if that is the case, and the Nigerian government now decide to ask the Benin government based on that to extradite Igboho, then it might just be another kettle of fish entirely.
Yeah, exactly. So, because Sunday Igboho is not a prisoner.
That's what I'm saying.
As far as this is concerned.
In fact, Sunday Igboho has not been, unlike Nnamdi Kanu, that has been taken to court. Sunday Igboho, there is no case per se. Sunday Igboho has not been charged to court by the federal government. The nearest I know of it is that he was invited by the police some time ago to come for certain discussion and the rest of them. He didn't do that. So his case, some people have said, oh, it's going to be like Nnamdi Kanu. Sunday Igboho's case is a bit different.
Okay.
That of Nnamdi Kanu was that he was charged to court, he was on trial. For whatever reason, he has to leave the country because his house was invaded. And that brought some level of some K-leg, as the President Obasanjo used to say, K-leg into the case. Before he has now,
he was released on bail and he jumped bail.
So that was it. So but this one is a different ballgame.
Okay, we'll take a look at it as we get along. I'm going to bring Sheson in after we go on a break. So Sheson, just stay with me. Let's go on a break. We'll be right back on the program. Stay with us. You're watching TVC Breakfast. We're looking at the headlines on Nigerian newspapers today, and we have to make sense of all of this. Chris Ndingwandu is here, one of our regulars. We also have Sheson Kwade joining us on Zoom to add or lend a voice to this. Now, Sheson, let me come to you. We're discussing Sunday Igboho earlier on. Now, there is a lot when it comes to the relationship between Nigeria and Benin Republic. And some people say that as much as Benin Republic is an independent, sovereign country with its own respect and all of that, the enormous influence that Nigeria has over Benin Republic when it comes to things like this and what is of interest to Nigeria, that Nigeria will always have its way at the end of the day. What do you make of that?
Yeah, thank you very much, Mike. That would definitely be correct, in the sense that the economic dependence, even though the country is a sovereign nation on its own, they rely so much on Nigeria, and it's just like a big brother and younger brother issue, that the younger brother is dependent on the elder brother. Whatever instruction he gives, he definitely might want to consider it, considering the economic dependent on such. So this that has started, you can see that even the government is dragging our feet on the path of the extradition of Sunday Igboho, waiting for the final conclusion of the final judgment that will be held today. So if he is culpable and is sent into prison, you might discover that even if there is no the understanding between Nigeria, this prison exchange, as mentioned by lawyer CK and baby lawyer, they can initiate that within the shortest possible time and expect the maximum cooperation from them, because economic empowerment is very key when nations are talking to one another, and Benin Republic will not want to suffer loss because of an individual, but tend to yield to whatever the government may be asking. So I think Nigeria might ride on that economic empowerment, of which Benin Republic is a great beneficiary from, to make let me just say, make available the necessary things that is expected of them as regards Sunday Igboho. But I may say this, if an agitator tends to plan some of these things, I think we should not just start and just ease out the pressure. He should have planned this strategically in such a way that he will have his way completely, not coming to get stuck by the way, because the offenses get increased day by day, and you may not know. You may start with one and end up with so many that on the long run, you will just be held liable for some of the things that you are being accused of. But let's wait and see the outcome of the judgment of today, and then that will give a different direction on the next action by the federal government. Okay.
Now, CKN, let me ask you this before we leave the Sunday Igboho issue. Now, without necessarily preempting what the court is going to come up with when it comes to Sunday Igboho's case in court, if we create a scenario where Sunday Igboho is being tried for forging or having access to, and all of that, in the eyes of the law, forgery and all of those are criminal cases. No. If he is found guilty at the end of the day, we're just trying to create a scenario, how more complex would it be? Because there has to be some level of punishment meted out to him if he has been found to have violated the rules or the laws in Benin Republic. How more complex would it be considering the Nigerian factor on him?
As I said, every country has its own law on both criminal and civil cases. Forging is a criminal case all over the world. If no matter wherever you, for anybody to forge your any document at all, talk less of a passport, that is a serious criminal offense, because there are instances where those passports could be used for all sorts of activities. It could be used for terrorism. It could be used for so many other things. So many countries take it seriously. So there is a tendency that the full weight of the law will come on Sunday Igboho, irrespective of what the court is not going to consider whether Igboho has a problem with Nigeria or not. That definitely is out of the window. Yeah. It is not within the jurisdiction of the court in Benin to do that. What they'll be more concerned about is the criminal offense that has to do with obtaining a passport of. It's just like anybody coming to Nigeria, a Ghanaian coming to Nigeria and just getting a Nigerian passport. When you're not a citizen, there are clear-cut rules as to how you can get Nigerian passport. Either you're a citizen by birth or registration or naturalization and rest. So that is well spread out for whatever reason. But people take it a bit further. I also want. There's something that just came to my mind, and I will just say that the recent appointment of some ambassadors to neighboring countries in Nigeria. Mike, I don't know whether you've thought about that. CKN. How many times you call me?
So, a lot of people said it was really strategic.
Very strategic. I want to say it's strategic. When the president decided to appoint all the service chiefs, one in Chad, one in Benin, for Chad, Cameroon. You think that the president, they will say this president is sleeping. He's not actually sleeping. He knows what he's doing. This man knows what he's doing. And I think that has come to play. Because if you know the security network that some of these service chiefs have over countries within the West African region, and even there you can know that at any given point in time, they can be able to pinpoint certain security lapses here and there and capitalize on it. And that's what is happening.
As it affects Nigeria. Exactly. Recall too that Ambassador. It's really nice to call him Ambassador Tukun Burate. It's really amazing. He's Nigerian ambassador to Benin Republic, and he has been on top of this issue from the get-go. All right, we have to put a pause again, and let's go on a break. We'll be right back to discuss the COVID-19 and other issues. Stay with us. We're looking at the headlines across Nigeria.
This shortness of breath can be harming you. Unbranded cooking oils may contain high levels of trans fat and cholesterol, which clog your arteries, making it difficult for your heart to pump blood. Use Power Oil. It is free of cholesterol and trans fat. Power Oil. healthy family.
Hooray! You can now buy and register a new Airtel SIM card and enjoy 8 times bonus on all your recharges. Visit any certified Airtel shop today with your NIN and get instant double data and 8 times bonus on every recharge. If you don't have NIN, you can also register for it at the Airtel shop. This offer is available to all new Airtel customers.
Airtel, the smartphone network.
In a world of a pandemic, the need to relieve stress cannot be overemphasized.
Pride Rock Entertainment presents the most entertaining, mind-blowing comedy event of the year. The Chronicles of Hush Baby Live returns. Yeah Daddy 15, the Vaccine Edition, taking place on the 25th of July at the prestigious Hotel and Suites Lagos. Time at 6 p.m. Comedy vaccines by Dr. Destalker, Dr. Igo Save, Dr. Koro, Dr. Dan the Humorous, Dr. Bucci, Dr. Tamama, and many more physicians. Music vaccines by my jazz music superstars, and on the wheels, your host, Hush Baby. For reservation and sponsorship, please call 0802-990-6500. Please note, this event is for a limited audience, with all COVID-19 protocols duly observed. Proudly supported by New Age Charger and TVC Max FM. Packaged by Larry Mako Events. Get vaccinated.
He's falling sick so frequently, either fever or stomachache. I keep him away from junk food.
He also feeds me apples. She says an apple a day.
If you want to keep germs away, then also wash your hands regularly with Dettol soap.
Meaning?
Germs and disease spread through the hand also. For this, use Dettol soap. Dettol protects from up to 100 illness-causing germs. Dettol soap is endorsed by the Nigerian Medical Association. Be Dettol sure.
I am Funke Akindele Bello. As a mom, most times we get disturbed or being called for one thing or the other. You know our kids now. And oh, how they love to make us proud.
I mean, we love to see our kids happy.
Their happiness is our happiness. The same happiness we felt when we learned that the original Kellogg's Cornflakes is here. The world's #1 is here. I got an invite to tour the Kellogg's factory. It was amazing. Trust me, we're in good hands. It smells so fresh.
It's real corn.
Super crunchy, super tasty.
It's because it's world's #1.
Go grab the new Kellogg's Cornflakes now.
Breakfast time is Kellogg's time.
You're watching TVC Breakfast. We've been looking at the headlines across Nigerian newspapers. I have with me Sheson Kwade as well as Chris Kendingwandu. Now, Sheson, let's talk about briefly the COVID-19 testing and the issues of Delta variant that is hitting states and people across the country. Talk to us basically. What more can we do? Because when they're saying the Delta variant is more virulent, is more dangerous, is more deadly than the regular COVID-19 virus that we know. What more can we do as a people, really?
Yeah, thank you very much, Mike. I think what I'll first suggest is that every individual should take responsibility for their safety. Whether we have the protocols out there set by the federal government or not, you should protect your life and make sure you stick by some of the rules that have been suggested by the government: social distancing, nose mask covering, washing of hands, and some other things. Whatever rules that they are given, you don't need anybody to enforce you to get this done. But the basic thing is, how much do you value your life? So you must adhere to it to make sure that we don't have the wider spread of it, whether the vaccination is coming on or not, although we're expecting some next week. But I will suggest that every human being should take responsibility. Don't await anyone to tell you to use your nose mask or create social distancing when you are in the public gathering. Do all that is needful, because if anything happens, you will be made to pay pay for the consequence. No government will be there to tell you to feel sorry when you are feeling the pain. So I would just encourage everyone, whether it's Delta variant, whether it's the old one, to make sure that they adhere with the safety protocol, not to be enforced by anybody, but take security or take the precaution much more important as an individual.
All right. Now, CKN, some people are now recommending the issue of enforcement, because when you talk about social distancing in all of those protocols, not so many people are adhering to it, but with the Delta variant, is a different ball game altogether, the way things are going. And people are talking about the third wave so far, and they're talking about enforcement right now.
On a lighter mood, Mike, this third variant or Delta variant is from South Africa. I don't know why they will name it after Delta. That, for me. So
you think it's not Delta State?
I'm just asking. You know the way former President of Donald Trump said that it's Chinese.
But he was criticized.
For that.
Because we call it South African variant. It looks like profiling.
But on a more serious note, from one of the papers, we can realize that this headline was that about 30 states have already shut down completely. Yeah. So meaning that they don't even believe that it's COVID, but that is a wrong signal. If you look at what is happening in Japan now, the Olympics starts today, and a lot of things are already coming out. There are going to be only 100 people at the stadium at the opening ceremony today. A stadium built for close to about 80,000 people. That is to show you the repercussion of that. So, but here we take it so lightly and nobly. People are dying already, from what I read in Nigeria. I read somewhere about 2 or 3 people died or whatever a few days ago, and the rest of them. As Jason rightly said, it is within Nigerians to take this seriously, but the problem for me is that the last time the Lagos State governor spoke about compliance and vaccination, he said just about 1% of Lagosians will have been vaccinated. Is it due to the fact that we don't have enough vaccines, or is it because people have vehemently refused to go and get themselves vaccinated? Yeah. I've taken my second jab. And that for me, but even that is not enough security. I still have to go through those protocol of using the mask, distancing, and the rest of it. So what we are saying is that government itself seems to have tried enough and seems to have given up on the zeal. Who is going to enforce? Is it the policeman? Is the policeman using a mask? Is it the soldiers? We have enough insecurity on our hands that they are battling with. Yeah. If you understand what I'm trying to say. So bringing the issue of COVID to the table is a different ball game. Nigeria is focusing on getting to Cotonou and how to delete most of these bandits. So the list of the problem of Nigeria now seriously is not good. But individually, people should know that their life is in their hands, and they must do everything humanly possible to make sure that Unilag has closed. University of Lagos have closed shop, and students have been sent home because of COVID. And I believe it's the same thing all around. So let us take this seriously. But I still believe that the alignment program should now intensify from what it used to be.
All right. Thank you very much, Chris Kendingwandu, for your time on the program.
Thank you very much for having me. Have a nice weekend.
And then you too. And Sheso Kwade, thank you very much for coming on the program as well.
Mike, have a wonderful weekend.
And you too, thank you. Right, let's bring you the news update right now. Some news stories at this time. Movement within Lagos State will be restricted from 8 a.m. to 3 p.m. on Saturday, 24th July 2021, to enable the State Independent Electoral Commission conduct a hitch-free local government and local council elections. In a statement by the State Commissioner for Information and Strategy, Benga Motosho, the measure is to enable the smooth conduct of elections into positions of chairmen and councillors in all the 57 local government and local council development areas. The restriction will also facilitate the ease of movement of the electorate, election materials, and LASIEC officials for the sanctity of the election, effective monitoring, and enhanced security. The Commissioner urges all eligible voters to participate in the elections, which require the cooperation of all residents. The first batch of A-29 Super Tucano aircraft has arrived Kano, as earlier announced by the federal government. Nigerian Air Force Director of Public Relations and Information, Air Commodore Edward Gapquet, revealed this in a statement. The aircraft was received by the Minister of Defense, Major General Bashir Magashi, retired, the Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant General Farouk Yahya, and Chief of Air Staff, Air Marshal Oladayo Amao. Now, the Nigerian Air Force had on Thursday last week announced that the first batch of 6 Super Tucano aircraft are on the way to Nigeria from the United States. In March, the presidential spokesman, Garba Shehu, revealed that 6 aircraft will be arriving in the country by July, with 6 others expected afterwards. The Nigeria Center for Disease Control has reported 184 new cases of COVID-19, taking the country's total number of confirmed cases to 170,306. Lagos recorded the highest number of new cases with 124 new infections, followed by Rivers State with 27 new cases, while Sokoto State had 9 new cases. So far, 164,777 people have been discharged, while 2,130 people have died from COVID-19 complications. You're watching TVC Breakfast. We'll go on a break, and after that break, it'll be time for the business segment with David Alabi. Stay with us.
Hello, welcome to the Friday Business News Report. We now started with news across Nigeria as the federal government recorded a revenue shortfall of 1.4 trillion naira between January and May this year. This is according to analysis of the medium-term expenditure framework and fiscal strategy paper for 2022 to 2024. According to the report from the Budget Office of the Federation, the federal government's projected revenue for this year is 7.9 trillion naira, of which 3.2 trillion naira was earmarked as pro rata target for the period under review. However, as of May this year, the government had only generated 1.8 trillion naira, which is about 56.25% of the pro rata estimate, translating into a revenue gap of 1.4 trillion naira. During the review period, the aggregate revenue of 1.8 trillion naira comprised of all revenue of 423 billion naira, non-all revenue of 618.76 billion naira, and 762.7 billion naira from other revenue sources, including independent revenue of 487.01 billion naira. And away from financial reports now, as Nigeria's unemployment rate continues to soar amid a gradual recovery of the country's economy, a non-governmental organization has called for a collaborative effort between government and the private sector to nip in the bud the menace before it gets out of control. Addressing journalists at a press briefing in Lagos ahead of the Youth Day of Service, the executive director of LEAP Africa, Femi Taiwo, maintains that the growing rate of unemployed young Nigerians is the root of insecurity and other social vices bedeviling the country. Also explains that the creative energy of young people across the country, if well utilized, will lead towards sustainable development and promote a culture of communal support as well as community development. Mr. Taiwo further attributes the initiative as a massive movement intended to empower young people, strengthen communities, and also trigger collective actions that will move Africa forward to achieving the SDGs by 2030.
The Youth Day of Service is all about celebrating all that youth represents, the creativity, the voice, the initiative, the enterprising spirit, and celebrating it not just through words, but through action. So we tell young people during the Youth Day of Service to bring all of themselves, all their creativity, all their agency, their voice, to solve problems in their community, problems that are captured within the Sustainable Development Goals. For us to really serve young people more and for us to tackle the issues, facing young people, including unemployment, there has to be a lot of collaboration across the different sectors. We in the third sector collaborating more internally within ourselves, and collaboration across sectors, third sector, private sector, and the public sector. And I think if we are true to what we all stand for, whether as a public sector partner or as a private sector partner, as a third sector partner, and we really bring all of our strengths and our capacity together, the problem is not too big actually, but it's a very scary challenge. The solutions are within us actually. We just have to bring it all together and accelerate what works.
In other news from the energy sector now, an estimated sum of 53.26 billion naira loss was recorded in the first 2 months of this year as international oil companies and local players fled a total of 33.04 billion standard cubic feet of natural gas. According to data from the Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation, the oil companies wasted 17.53 billion standard cubic feet of gas in the month of February compared to 15.51 billion standard cubic feet of gas in February last year, with the price of natural gas put at $3.93 per 1,000 standard cubic feet of gas. Now, the 33.04 billion standard cubic feet of gas fled translates to an estimated loss of 53.26 billion naira. In its latest monthly report now, the NNPC notes that out of the 206 billion standard cubic feet produced in February, a total of 133.06 billion standard cubic feet of gas was commercialized, consisting of 40.15 billion standard cubic feet as well as 92.91 billion standard cubic feet for the domestic and export markets, respectively. It's now time to bring you highlights from Thursday's transactions on the floor of the Nigerian exchanges. Trade volume and other market data moved in the positive direction and the bolstered market activities. TVC News Markets Editor Effiang Ikop has the details.
Business resumed at the nation's stock market after the two-day public holidays. Oil marketing companies lifted threats at the exchange following good news from Owando PLC, which has initiated moves to resolve all litigations dragged against the Securities and Exchange Commission. Total PLC on its own put out fair half-year results which rallied market attention. Many funds managers positioned portfolios around the two companies, while Dangote Cement equally enjoyed attention. All of this lifted trades index by a large margin of 1.67%, indicating sharp levels of gains by companies and investors. Insurance securities suffered value and price drops. ICO and sovereign insurance companies were worse hit on the losing table due to sales pressure. Trade volume appreciated beyond what obtained last week, though business value was down. Effiang Ikop, TVC News, Lagos.
And wrap it up now, taking a flip to the international market. Asian stocks also rallied, bonds nursed losses and all held onto sharp gains as investors seem to set aside virus jitters for now and also look ahead of the European Central Bank for reassurance that policy support will continue for some time. MSCI's broadest index of Asia-Pacific shares outside Japan followed Wall Street higher and rose 1% with broad gains from Sydney to Seoul and also Hong Kong. Japanese markets are closed until Monday. There was no obvious catalyst for the recent rebound in stocks or the drawdown for Friday and Monday, though a study on Wednesday showed both Pfizer and AstraZeneca vaccines were effective against the Delta coronavirus variant. In the commodities market, gold was steady at $1,801 an ounce, and cryptocurrencies were firm after bouncing from lows when Tesla boss Elon Musk said that the car maker would likely restart accepting Bitcoin payments after due diligence on its energy use. Well, that's it from the business desk this morning. Many thanks for watching so far. Sports news is coming up shortly with Emmanuel Akinduboah in just a moment. Good morning.
Hello, welcome to Sports on TVC Breakfast. It's a fantastic Friday morning as the countdown to the opening ceremony of the Olympics gets underway. Well, members of Team Nigeria to the Tokyo Olympic Games said they are ready to compete for medals at the 32nd Olympiad, which begins officially this Friday. A contingent of 60 athletes will represent the country in 10 sporting events at the Games, which is holding amid a lot of controversy following the global health crisis, which forced a postponement by a year. Well, Esther Toko became the first Nigerian athlete to be involved in the Games with a 5th place finish in the women's singles course at the rowing event. A return time of 8 minutes 58.49 seconds keep her in a great position to qualify for the quarterfinals with the repechage event taking place on Saturday. Well, fans of the team, coaches and athletes of Team Nigeria have spoken about their expectation for medals at the game. Our correspondent Solomon Adriziogo previews Team Nigeria's quest for medals at the Tokyo Olympics.
These are the athletes upon whose shoulders rest Nigeria's medals hopes at the 2020 Tokyo Summer Olympic Games. 60 men and women participating in 10 sports
will inscribe your names in national and world sporting history. You carry the hopes and aspirations of millions as you compete in Tokyo.
In track and field, Nigeria would be represented by 19 athletes, 6 men and 13 women. 24 players in men and women's basketball, 3 players in badminton, 5 in wrestling, 4 in table tennis, 2 in swimming, and 1 each in taekwondo, swimming, rowing, and gymnastics.
In some events like the 4x4 mix, I think we should have a medal there. We should go into our 4x1 women. I think there too we should be expecting a medal there.
Wrestling, yes, they have a big chance across all the categories to pull something through.
Premium expectations are on Blessing Okagbari and Ese Brume in individual events and the relays. Okagbari has run a couple of sub-11 seconds, including a wind-aided world leading time of 10.63 seconds. Brume has hit form by just breaking the long-standing national records of 25 years.
I don't know why I have so much faith in Ese Brume. I think she has the spirit and the determination to get something out there.
In the 100 meters women too, Blessing Okagbari can do a surprise. She can do a big surprise.
With the exhibition match victories over the USA and Argentina, Nigeria's Legion of men's basketball team has moved up to 4th place in the world ranking, an elevated expectation of a medal chance.
And beyond, and Nigeria has upset the United States.
Something might come from either of the basketball category, whether male or female.
Since Nigeria began participating in the Summer Olympics in 1952, she has won 3 gold medals, 10 silver and 12 bronze medals.
Any color of medal is good enough, in my opinion, not relishing the golden bronze like we used to say.
Athletics has produced 13 of this number, including 2 gold medals.
It's Oduduru. He's going to win the front end of the double.
The expectation is that these athletes will either match the golden performances of 1996 in Atlanta and Sydney 2000 or surpass them. Solomon Adriziogo, TVC News.
Well, a confirmation of other results of matches played on Thursday. New Zealand made history with their first ever win in the men's football event at the Olympics. They defeated South Korea by 1-0. African representative Ivory Coast defeated Saudi Arabia by 2-1. Frank Kessie getting a goal for the Ivorians. Egypt, another African representative, played out a goalless draw against Spain, while South Africa lost to host nation Japan. Defending champions Brazil were 4-2 winners over Germany, while Argentina, in a shocking result, lost to Australia by 2-0. And away from the Olympics now, where Premier League club Everton have expressed interest in signing Nigerian winger Samuel Chukwueze. Reports say Everton manager Rafael Benitez is keen on bringing the Villarreal of Spain player to Goodison Park ahead of the new season. The 22-year-old Chukwueze played 40 games for Villarreal last season, scoring 4 and providing 8 assists. It's not the first time Chukwueze will be linked with a move to the Premier League, as both Manchester United and Liverpool have also registered their interest in the youngster. And of course, Super Eagles captain Ahmed Musa's move to Turkish club Fatih Karagümrük has also been concluded, with the former Leicester City forward agreeing personal terms with the Istanbul-based club. Musa joins Fatih as a free agent after playing for 6 months with Nigeria Professional Football League side Kano Pillars. And that's all for sport this morning. Mike will be back with more after the break. Stay with TVC News.
You're watching TVC Breakfast. Let's get into the next discussion now. Insecurity remains the biggest challenge confronting Nigeria at this time. From the Boko Haram insurgency in the northeast to banditry and kidnappings in the northwest and cultism and agitations in the south, the Nigerian state is heavily burdened from all sides. A new report by an Abuja-based security risk management and intelligence consulting company, Beacon Consulting, says that about 1,031 people were killed across Nigeria in the month of June. Zamfara, Kebbi, and Nigerian state topped the list, according to the report. Now, 275 persons were killed in Zamfara state, while Kebbi and Niger states lost 93 and 91 persons, respectively, during the month. The report also disclosed that 390 people were abducted in 205 incidences recorded in 34 states of the country within the same period. If you look at all of those, it's really scary what is going on. But let's have an insight into all this. Joining me now is security consultant Roy Ohideve. It's nice to have you join me this morning.
Yes, a pleasure.
Great. Now, the security situation in Nigeria, I know we've talked about this so many times. We're having you on the platform and so on. But let me start with the assurances that the government is giving to Nigerians. In fact, the president had said at some time that our challenges will soon be over. We'll soon overcome all of these. And then government has announced the arrival of 6 Super Tucano jets, which everyone has said that when we have those, because of the makeup and all of that, they're going to detect a lot of things and they're going to put a stop to a lot of things. But how optimistic are you regarding this?
You know, I just get so skeptical when I need to come on air, you know, because we'll keep talking about the same thing as if nobody's listening, you know. So you cannot be fighting the flames when the embers are being tugged by the flammables, you know. So when you spend all that money getting the Tucanos and you bomb all the forest and all the unpoliced areas, the bandits will disintegrate, break into individuals and move into communities. And by the time your Tucanos are resting, if they were not crashed, or if they were not shut down, they move back into the unpoliced areas, they reassemble, and they go back to banditry. And the ones that are caught quickly say, I was forced. And you put them into the de-radicalization process again, and you talk them as repentant bandits, repentant terrorists, and release them some of them have opportunities to get NIN, BVN, reintegrate back into the society with voters card and everything. Clean records, no records of whatever they have done. Policemen they have killed, soldiers they have killed, families that they have made fatherless, motherless, economies they have destroyed, territorial integrities they have violated, national interests, international focus, our international business acceptances that they have damaged. Nothing. They just walk away and say, under the guise of religion, under the guise of ethnicity, under the guise of political acceptance, political futurities, projections, and they just go free. And the soldiers that died, their children are buying forms to join the army again. The ones that retired, that are disabled, their children are buying forms and they are within the ones serving again. And the recycling of demotivation is going on, depression is going on. The communities that saw this same bandit and they now repented and is back in the community, building his house, doing business as if nothing is happening. Would they say they are in a country called Nigeria?
Wow, Roy, you're taking this to another level, which the way we're seeing it is really, you know, giving a punch, you know, to some of these things. A video went viral a few days ago of a soldier who was venting, you know, expressing some level of frustration, saying that they're playing politics with whatever their lives are, because the point there is, from what he said in that video, if it's anything to go by, he's saying that sometimes they receive instructions not to go after these people. And the point there is they have the morale, they have the wherewithal with what they have, and they can, quell all of these. What do you make of this, though? This is not the first, not the second time when we
see, sometimes when we are on air, you are trying to manage information so that maybe the media house, the government will not come against the media house and all of that. Now, let me tell you something. Everybody that refuses to speak is speaking against himself in silence. Now, if you have the best of weaponry and you give it to the worst of humans, they will use it for negative vices. That is one. Two, a military is as strong as its cohesiveness, loyalty, discipline, and motivation. That is the strength of a military. We can use sticks to fight. There are times that Nigerian army have gone for international programs. We have met situations where better equipped opponents, better equipped rebels, better opportuned in their own land, and we defeated the uprising there. We got accolades, got awards. Police, Nigerian police, sent under the UN, they get awards. When they come back to Nigeria, they are given awards for excellent service. Because of that meager motivation, the dollar they pay them as allowances, and they believe that, oh, I can put this together so that I can help my family. You see them disciplined, gallant, agile. But when you bring them back to Nigeria, they fall into the space. So there's an illegitimate accountability process. The system put in place to checkmate excesses has been dilapidated. The judiciary, if you arrest all the bandits, what about the ones that are rearrested? I have friends still in service. They arrest bandits. They are seeing them again circulating on motorcycles, carrying AK-47s, and they wave at you. Even at checking points, you arrest them, you see the equipment. Sometimes the police do media presentation, lay it on the table. And where are those people? What judicial process did they take? You cannot use Tucano to achieve your aim. The other day we talked about the new IG of police. We talked about the new chief of army staff. And we insist that any agency that want to make any kind of progress in their mandate, constitutional mandate, must go back and put their institution in order. They must refuse to be manipulated. Because if I have a dog and I give the dog something else to do, the thief can walk away. So if our agencies need to work, those Nigerians, I call us Nigerians, that are at helms of affairs, that are supposed to checkmate excesses, that are supposed to reduce the abuse of power and allow agencies to work. Look at ordinary Benin Republic. Look at what is happening there right now. They are asking judicial questions. Why are you holding an illegitimate passport? So it's not an issue of what happened to me. I killed someone. I'm a herdsman. I kill a farmer. It's murder. I'm a farmer. I kill somebody's cow. It's abuse of his business. I may pay for the cow. And, you integrate all of those things into the trajectory of agriculture business. You remove it from religion. You remove it from ethnicity. But once you begin to say a Fulani man was killed by a Yoruba man, an Igbo man was burnt by Yoruba people in Lagos, you have removed the focus to dissipate the embers and kill the flame.
At this point, a lot of Nigerians still believe, and in fact, and rightly so, that when it comes to the capacity of the Nigerian security agent, it is never in question, like you have also said earlier. And if we have to take that step right now to say, okay, the average Nigerian security agent that goes abroad and wins awards and bring back accolades and excellent report and all of that, how do we kick that Nigerian agent into that action that we're looking for within the system, that The excellence we're talking about is not only when you go for UN or AU mission, it is when you're working for the Nigerian government and for Nigerian nation, Nigerian interest within the country. How do we achieve that if we have to change things?
You see, patriotism is a major word, okay? Patriotism can only be exercised by patriots. And you can only be a patriot when you are a partaker, when you belong by blood, by birth, by association, by residence, by documentation. So even if I'm a Ghanaian and I'm documented as a Nigerian, I find myself a patriot. Look at Nigerians in the US Army. Look at them in the British Army, the British Secret Service. Look at Nigerians in Germany. See what they do to the country, you know. So, and you will be shocked to discover that globally, by contest, Nigerians are very patriotic. They are passionate to something they love. You know, that is why you see if Nigerians love corruption, it's difficult to get them out. If they love anything, they give it the best. Now, the only way for you to begin to build this trajectory towards a cohesive military, a cohesive community, that we have resilience against all of these vulnerabilities, is to have people believe in themselves and believe in the country. It has been decades and decades of decadence. So it's not going to be one day affair, but there must be sincerity of government. Look at education, sir. I want a government that will come and say schools are free for primary school children. Then you have bursary back in place in the universities, and you pay the lecturers what they are supposed to get. That is global standard in that industry of lecturing. And you will see that people will begin, the first thing is the alert. People will begin to reorientate themselves. You know, a police officer that is paid maybe 200,000 naira, 250,000 naira, he has accommodation, you know, he has a medical cover for his family. You know, there is criminality in everybody, but there is also a judgmental spirit in everybody. There is a spirit that will tell you, you are paid well, don't do this. You know, then apart from that, we need a structure that works. The judiciary, that should work. We need a case in court, and nobody is looking at any other thing but the Constitution and the violation of the Constitution. You know, if it is a criminal code, if it's a civil case, a civil matter, use those documents to address it. Then let there be uniformity. If it's in Zamfara, if it's in Gombe, then if you want to do state by state laws, every state should have its law, and everybody that violates that law should face it. Then the governor, on the anniversary of the state or the country, October 1st, can say, I'm using executive this to pardon XYZ, but we know you committed the crime, we know you are serving the time. So it's a deterrence to others. Then if you look at other ministries like ICPC, EFCC, they should not be sectional, they should not be selective. You know, then in communication, there are sensitive industries like communication, where my phone line, you have mandated me now to commit all my details, all my movement, my private information. The person handed that affair, if he has anything questionable, he should resign and leave. And the government should see to be seen to put round pegs in round hole. Like someone that I've had a basic knowledge, grown in the industry, and coming to head it. So if I'm in the Ministry of Communication for 6 years, 7 years, I will be building a trajectory to head the ministry if I'm in finance. But there is one kind of disabuse to that office that have broken down this thing. So every agency you get into, somebody is asking you to pay for paper, somebody is asking you to pay for where you will sit down, for you to see someone, and nobody cares, because those are the ends of affairs. Don't know that it is the cracks that collapse the building.
All right, now let's talk about the issue of ungoverned spaces, which some security experts have spoken to when it comes to how bandits and kidnappers and terrorists and even the headsmen, sometimes the ones that are perpetrating crime, especially in the northern region where we have a large expanse of land, that there are places that are seen as ungoverned spaces where the presence of government is kind of minimal. One wonders if people like that feel the sense of the fact that, okay, we're citizens, we enjoy this or that, but that's a totally different thing. But how do we handle those ungoverned spaces? There are countries that, Nigeria is not the largest country in the world. We have other countries that are bigger, larger than Nigeria, and they still try to hold their fort. How do we as a people handle, or as a country, handle the issues of ungoverned spaces in such a way that it's not taken advantage of by these miscreants?
I've actually looked at the issues concerning and surrounding ungoverned spaces. And I remember growing up as a kid, you know, there are places you get to, you don't enter into that place. I was a Boy Scout. We went for bush exercise, camping and all that. You know, you don't see anybody, but yet you are not entering. You are making some sounds and this, and somebody gives you permission to enter into the place. If you watch some desert films that we do, like documentary, you will see some of those ancient men with scampy dressing with a stick. They make a sound. Then somebody else gives them an approval sound before they enter. Why? Because if you enter into that place, maybe an arrow or something, they will attack you. So what happened to our communal resilience? What happened to it? In your village, before you cross over to the other village, long time ago, you must get approval, or else you are trespassing. Nobody will tell you that you are trespassing. You will be shot because you don't have the approval to enter into that place. So we must begin to look at what happened to our local system. Ungoverned places, unpoliced places, they don't correspond. A governed place is a place that have a village head, a council of chiefs, a local, what do we call it now, native order that you must not break. You must not steal yams from these people's barn. You must not do this. They say it's a taboo. How do you get a taboo if you didn't broke a local order? You know, so what happened there? The other thing you look at is the local security system. We had a local security system, you know. Then you will now look at the police itself, because I'm talking about the people now and the government. If you can't police an area, do you have allegiance with that area? And when somebody tells you something is happening in XYZ place, you say, okay, let me call Roy. He will know what is happening there. Then Roy will tell you XYZ people should be arrested and interrogated. You know, so you have allegiance. So what happened to them? There was breakdown of trust. The local village heads right now, they are amongst those that are being kidnapped. The local village heads right now, they are amongst those that are taking monies from victims and helping to pay kidnappers. They are in the media space. You can Google it. The local village heads right now, they are stooges for political godfathers to generate voters components. So because of our quest to win elections at all costs, we have devalued all these processes. So a village head is becoming a criminal. Criminal in the sense that if there are minerals to be exploited there, people come and bribe him and exploit it. If there are kidnappers, kingpins there, they induce him either by fear or by monetary returns, and they do all of that. We just saw recently where an MI was saying that all the headers should vacate the forest.
In Taraba State.
You can imagine that annoyance to say that. So if they are not in the forest, why are you saying they should vacate the forest? And if they vacate the forest, where are they going to? Nobody is concerned about such things, because people are waiting for 2023 and they are pulling the numbers right now on how to win an election, forgetting that after you win an election, you will deliver governance.
Well, election is just the gateway to the governance, and we can't separate them at all. Now, the issue of security is a very large, phenomenon, but every time, everyone has said the solution to security, especially in the Nigerian case, is not only in the use of equipment and weapon and all of that. There is other need. In fact, some governors in the north have talked about the issue of negotiation. That has been deployed in some sense and in some time. We've seen that maybe it didn't work in all instances. They're still talking about using other measures. What other measures can we use apart from, speaking in the language that they understand? If I have to use that cliche.
In fact, you see, I don't blame you. I don't, because it's getting to look like there is no solution. Because every morning you wake up, there is a massive kidnap in a place that should have gotten the attention for government protection, like a school, like a hospital where you have babies. How can people come and pick babies from the hospital, thinking about their medical conditions? Have you looked at the traumatic situations our children are right now? Even schools in Lagos that they have hostels. When they hear noise in the night, do you know how the children begin to shake and think that it's a kidnap gang that have come to the school? So how do they focus on education? So we are just corrupting opportunities for education in a very long span destructive pattern. So if you look at this, I want to ask a question. Kidnappers need fueling. Bandits, they need fueling. Let's look at the opportunities to operate. They need to follow roads, through tracks or routes with their bikes. They don't carry it on their head. The bikes makes noise. It has sound. Okay? Then in all of these places they go through, we call ungoverned places, there are Nigerians there that pay taxes. They pay taxes. So what are the opportunities of government? One, you have these lines that they use to communicate. What next? Two, you have millions and thousands of retired military people, retired police people that are disintegrated back into the society. If you watch recently, you will see that bandits have started to kill retired military officers that are living in the town. It's so shameful. They just go and kidnap or kill them. Now, if you use all of these people as your eyes, do you know what pool of information you will get to immediately curb any incursion or anything?
All right. So much to talk about. So much to talk about, but we really appreciate you, Royal Hidivia, for giving us insight into some of these things every time, and even the charge to do what we need to do as a people and all of that. Thank you very much for coming on the program.
Pleasure.
Thank you very much.
Pleasure.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Now, this is where we come to the end of today's edition of the program, and even the week's edition as well. The weekend starts right about any moment from now. Thank you for spending your morning with us, and don't forget that COVID-19 is still real, and we all have to adhere to the protocols given by government and health officials. Have a great weekend ahead, and bye now.